Welcome back to the She Thrives Influential Women podcast. I am your host, Lori Murphy, and I am an empowerment coach for women. And before we begin today's episode, just to let a lot of you new viewers have an idea of who I am, I am just about to be 13 years sober from alcohol, and my journey in recovery led me down a path of self-discovery, healing, self-love, and brought me to hearing my calling to help women in their journeys, whether it's health and wellness or healing from their own um, trauma and pain. I'm here for you. And, it is my mission and my joy to be of service to women through their journeys. If you are new to this channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please click that subscribe button. And don't forget to leave a review. This helps keep this podcast boosting up into algorithms so that people can find it easier. And today I have a returning guest who she was on about a month or so ago. Solana Lewis. She is amazing. She is a world champion powerlifter, and she was a part of the International Powerlifting Federation at the age of 21. She started her business, Strength Solutions Inc., in 2021 to coach powerlifters to complete anywhere from local to national levels, as well as coach them in nutrition. Today, Solana is going to talk to us about nutrition, and I'm really excited to have her here. And Solana, how are you today?
I'm doing good. And one thing you said, which I don't know if I brought up the last time, so you just said you're 13 years sober, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. So I'm doing a sober year. So that started January 1st. So we're decently far into it. And it's really just like I was only a social drinker. Like I
Mm-hmm.
live on my own. I'm very big on like I never brought alcohol into the house because for me, like the thought of drinking by myself is just like never gonna do that. But I was a social drinker and like but whenever I would go out and drink with friends, like I wanted to feel the buzz and I'm a lightweight too. So I have like 5 drinks. And so I was like, you know what? Like every time I drink, I feel so bad for like 2 days. Even if I did have just one glass, which is rare, if I was gonna drink,
Mm-hmm.
like I still would feel foggy. And my
Mm-hmm.
recovery was so poor that I was like, I'm just gonna take a full year off and see how I feel and see what I want to do after that. So
That's awesome. Good for you. That's amazing. I'm sitting here and like you're saying, like after 5 drinks, it's like you don't like the way you feel like you're such a lightweight. Me, it was just like I would feel that way after probably about 10. Like seriously, I think it's amazing that you are doing the sober year. And, yeah, here we are we're going to be going into October here in the next
pretty
couple of
far
weeks.
in.
I know, you're pretty far in. How do you feel without it?
I feel amazing, and I don't like to say this unless I feel strongly about it. I never like to be like, oh, God said this. Like, you hear that like God said, I'm like, did God say it or did you say it? Right. But now that I'm this far in, I do feel like it was God being like, hey, take a year off because this year I started doing public speaking and I've been at a lot more networking events that I've never done before. Like this is very new to
Mhm.
me, the whole networking event. We go somewhere to the big bar that's like free alcohol and all this food, and I'm offered all these free drinks. And I'm like, if I was drinking this year, I don't think I would have gotten the opportunities I've gotten so far. I wouldn't have even met you. I wouldn't have been at
Right.
the conference, like because I know how I am when I'm tipsy, and I just know that the way that I've been able to like conduct myself at these networking events is why I'm starting to get like public speaking opportunities. So I'm
Right.
very thankful for it. Like I feel great.
Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
easy for me not to say no thank you. I say no thank you all the time. Just no, nope, no. Like,
No, that's awesome. Hey, maybe when you hit January, you'll be like, yeah, I've gone this far. Why start back up, right?
I think that will be me. That is the hope. I just gotta get to the first year, then make another goal.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all. Like, I don't miss waking up feeling like garbage. I don't miss questioning, like, what the hell did I do last night? And who do I have to apologize to? Because I'm sure I acted out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Or inappropriate. So it's like, I feel so much better without it. And it's like almost like it's been so long that I look back sometimes and I'm like, I really lived that life. Like it seems so far away, but yet it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I don't have any interest in going back, that's for sure. So Solana, so you were just actually saying before the podcast started that you were just in Utah for another tournament. How did that go?
Yes. So it was USA Powerlifting National Championships. So a very big meet. I think we had like 900 people competing at this competition. So I competed and we had something called prime time where
Hmm.
it's like the top 10 in each weight class go all at the same time. So I was in
Hmm.
the prime time session. So it went well. Overall, I placed fifth. I wanted to place higher, but it's okay. But my favorite part was coaching my athletes. I had three athletes there this year. They all did well. They all hit PRs, had a great time. It was two of their first nationals, and one was their second. So they
Hmm.
all left happy and with the medal. So
That's awesome. Hey, it sounds like it was a successful trip.
it was very fun. Loved it.
And congratulations on fifth place. Hey, listen, that's some people don't even get that far. They don't even get themselves to lifting 5 pounds. So you know what?
Very true.
Yes, girl, you're doing it. So let's talk a little bit about nutrition. So what kind of advice can you give to people on nutrition to at least even getting started with having a nutritious lifestyle?
Good question. People underestimate how easy it can be to get in protein,
Uh-huh.
and they don't understand how much it will help them feel better and feel satiated.
Right.
So, and especially with my clientele, that's typically, and I work with athletes. Before that though, I was all with like regular general population, which is just like everyday people. And I was still
Mm-hmm.
coaching on nutrition. And when it came to everyday people who are not athletes, I would see a lot of proteins that was like 30, 40 grams a whole day. And
Mm-hmm.
then like a lot more of different kinds of foods. So I would say number one, like just pay attention to how much protein you have each meal. I'm very big on adding and not focusing on subtracting. Like a lot of people are like, oh, if I want to go on a diet, if I want to, let's say your goal may be losing weight, I got to cut this, cut this, cut this, cut this. If
Right.
you add protein and then after you're consistent with that, add in more micronutrients, just like vegetables and fruits. If you focus on that, you will be more full and automatically eat less of the foods that's probably causing you to not have the overall body that you want, that's probably causing you to have weight gain. You know what I mean? It's like I am very big on add protein, add in vegetables and fruits. We can focus on taking stuff away later because by default are less hungry because you're more satiated, and then you just stop having as much of the foods that are like way high calorie.
Absolutely. So protein, like you said, it helps fill you, right? What other benefits would you say protein, like, because I'm sure someone's sitting here going, well, yeah, it fills me up, but what other benefits would protein have? Like, why is she saying more? You know what I mean? Because I really do
Great question.
think we are on in a culture of less.
Yeah, that's a great
But
question. So, um, protein is very good for building muscle and maintain the muscle you have. If building muscle, if that sounds intimidating to you, then think of it this way. Protein helps you be toned. Because tone and building muscle are the same thing. Just tone tends to be something you can say that sounds a little bit less scary. But at
Mhm.
the end of the day, right, being toned is having muscle.
Mhm.
So it really helps with that. And that is going to help you if you want to, even if your goal was to maintain weight, or like you don't have a weight goal, you just want to like change your body type. Like most people are like, oh, I want to get more tone. What that means is you want to gain muscle and lose body fat, right? Like if you have enough protein, you will maintain your muscle or build muscle, and then if you do start losing weight, you're losing more body fat, and
Mhm.
that's how you end up feeling better. You're gonna feel stronger too. You will
Right.
feel much weaker, less protein. And when you've been consistent with protein for a few, let's say, weeks or a month, and then you have a couple days with less protein, I've had clients tell me like, "Yo, I felt weaker like very quickly when I had like 2 days that I didn't pay attention. I had like no protein. Like you feel better, you feel stronger. It helps you be more toned. There's so many benefits to it. There's actually no benefit to not having more protein. Obviously, there's too much of anything can be bad, but most people don't have a too much protein problem. So
Right. So what do you think might be causing people to feel that they have to, like, I'm not sure if like I'm touching on this question correctly, but with the less protein. Like
Mhm.
why would people think that having less protein, why would people think that that was actually beneficial to them?
So I
What do
think
you think that?
overall, like you kind of mentioned, we're in a culture of less, right? Like have less food. Right now, veganism is very big, right? Have less meat, right? Which, hey, I have vegan athletes who compete in powerlifting. You can still hit protein with being vegan too. But I think we're just in a culture of less. So people are like, oh, if I eat less food, if I have breakfast and I have coffee and a banana and I go as long as I can until I'm so hungry, I must have the next meal. Like, and I use these examples because these are actual conversations I had with people who've said those
Mhm.
exact words to me, like multiple people.
Yeah.
And if you actually eat more, especially when you look at the quality food you're having, if you're eating more protein, if
Mhm.
you're eating more fruits and vegetables, not only are you going to be more full, but it actually helps speed up your metabolism when you have more protein and you're eating better foods. And people who are typically trying to eat less, 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 it puts your body in a state of, okay, I'm going to try to keep on all the body fat I have, keep all the weight that I have,
Yeah.
because I don't know when I'm going to get the next meal. Your
Right.
metabolism will slow down.
So it's going into starvation mode. So your body's trying to hold on to what it can
Yes.
because you have gone so long without eating. Like I see it almost every day. I see it with certain there are people I've seen them. They'll go all day. Like they might snack and that's that. But then they go home and they might have a huge meal when they get home. Or like, I mean, my boss will sit there and he'll eat breakfast bars and scoops of peanut butter throughout the day, but I'm probably the only person that will eat a meal because
Yes. It's
be-
so common.
because when I have days at work where we barely get a lunch break and I don't really get to sit down and have my full lunch, by the time I get home from work, I'm binging, right? And your body is craving stuff that's like sugar,
Yes.
right?
Your body automatically, so you can make better decisions when you're less hungry. Like we all know that you don't go to the grocery store hungry because when you just start buying everything,
Yes.
all about was Cheetos and chips. What happened, right? Like
Yes.
you can make better food and nutrition decisions if you're not super hungry. But most people, they do what you just said. Like they might have a job where they have to go into the office. They drink coffee. They have snacks and then they go home and have one meal and say, I only eat like once a day. How am I not losing weight? I only eat once a day. How am my body composition is not changing? Whatever it is. And
Hmm.
it's because number one, you're eating foods that are not very nutrition dense, right? So probably low in protein. It may be higher in saturated fats. It's
Hmm.
carbohydrates that are very quick digesting, of which could be like, for example, snacks like goldfish and pretzels versus having like rice or potatoes, which is going to take longer to digest, have better nutrients. It might even be the same calories. You got 100 calories of rice versus 100 calories of goldfish. You'll be hungry AF after the goldfish in 5 minutes. You will be more
Hmm.
full after the rice, and you might not be hungry for an hour. That's just an example, right?
Sure.
So when
Sure.
you eat more nutrition dense foods, when you eat more food throughout the day, you end up actually being satiated, and then you can actually not be going so high in calories with like the overeating at night and like whatever
Hmm.
snacks you had during the day that you don't even know the calories of.
Yeah.
So
And
I
the
think the biggest thing that I work to with newer clients after we start to nail, okay, every meal has protein.
hmm
Every meal has a certain amount. I'll say 20 grams, for example, 20 grams of protein. And then we start adding in the vegetables. We then start looking at the carbohydrate sources so that we're not always snacking all the time and we're having like whole grain sources, foods that keep you fuller. Once you start to do that, you'll notice like typically the calories go down. We didn't even focus on how many calories they're eating. We focused on how to build the meal.
yeah. You know, it's interesting because it's like, so you mentioned carbs. Now, I feel like this is something that I am constantly, I don't want to say like arguing over or trying to get a point across, but I feel like there is a big misunderstanding on carbohydrates because I know that in order for our metabolism to continue to keep up, and in order for us to be able, like you said, to have energy and stay full, like we do need carbohydrates, but it's where we're getting our carbs from, right? Like a sweet potato is, yeah, it's got a lot of carbs in it, but it's good carbs and we need
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Whereas a bag of chips, that's no good. So I guess it's like, so when, especially with powerlifting in general, like when you talk about carbs, what direction do you like, how many carbs do you recommend a person have on a daily basis in order to maintain a optimal metabolism, optimal energy, and just, keep their strength going?
Yeah. So the only thing that makes that question slightly tougher is I do calculate the macronutrients. Macronutrients are just carbs,
Yes.
fats, and protein, so everyone knows. I calculate them for each person, which honestly, there are free online calculators. You put in your body weight, you put in how much you move per day, and then you put in your height, and it will give you like an idea of your calories, right?
Hmm.
If we're gonna do a split, let's say a percentage split, you're probably looking at about 40% of your calorie intake protein, 40 to 40% of it being carb, and then about 20% being fat. Like that'd be like
Hmm.
an ideal kind of split that I might start somebody on. And
Yep.
we can change it. Because here's the thing, right? When it comes to any goal, maintaining weight is a calorie goal. Gaining weight, you need more calories. Losing weight, you're gonna need probably less calories, right?
Hmm.
But overall, if you hit the overall caloric number and you keep the protein high so that we are either building muscle, keeping our muscle, or we're not losing any muscle with our goal, you will see the results. So I
Right.
have some athletes, now not mostly because powerlifting, since it's a strength sport, carbohydrates are great for that because carbs give you energy. It's gonna
Hmm.
help spike your glucose up, right? Glycogen. And then from there, you can actually have the energy needed to be strong and feel strong. But
Yeah.
there are other athletes too who might do like, it can be CrossFit, it could be running, whatever it is. And you can handle having like more fats because you'll still feel good for your workout if it's not like 100% a strength workout. So you can have more fats and just lower your carbohydrates, and that's fine,
Yeah.
right? It's really just like to make it really easy. Don't even think about carb, fat, protein. Think about your protein number and then the calorie number. If you just nail those two, like you will see results.
I love it. So with protein, how much protein in a day is a healthy amount of protein?
Okay, so average person meaning you're not an athlete, you might work out, you might even not work out, you might just go for walks. Perfect. I think walking is working out, by the way, because step count is humongous and any goal you have.
Hmm.
I would say zero point 0.7 grams times your body weight. Okay, 100-pound person, 70 grams. 200-pound person, 140 grams. When it
Okay.
comes to my athletes, because I'm literally coaching athletes, we have it higher because again, I coach a strength sport. Like the whole thing is built on strength. So high protein, so you can build as much muscle as you can. We're
Hmm.
looking at 1 gram per pound of body weight for my athletes.
Okay.
And some who go above that, especially if they have a very like some of my athletes have metabolisms from Jesus. And they like they do like so I get to see. I mean, it's why I love my job because I get to see everything from like people who have slow metabolisms to like, yo, you have an insane metabolism. It's just you just burn calories. Like I have an athlete, and we're actually only starting next week, and she's a female, and I don't mind saying her weight because we have a weight class sport. So this weight class she's in is 182 pounds, and
Hmm.
she has to have 4,000 calories a day, or else she loses weight.
Okay.
Just
Wow.
for reference, I'm at 2,200 and I will gain weight anything past that. 4,000. Her metabolism's from God.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Holy
So her
crap.
protein is higher than a pound per body than 1 gram per pound of body weight because her calories are so much higher, right? But this
Right.
everyday average person just start at 0.7 times your body weight. Okay,
Right.
calculate 0.7 times body weight, boom, there's your number.
Right. But she's not getting her 4,000 calories on baked goods and, pastas and everything like that. Like she's actually also getting her nutrients through so this is all based on protein, the protein, fats, and carbohydrates, correct?
Yeah, so it's based on macros, right? Protein, fats, carbohydrates. And we're always going to prioritize the nutrient dense foods first.
Hmm.
So examples of nutrient dense carbs, it can definitely be pasta. Can be pasta, can be rices, can be potatoes,
I love
um,
my pasta,
quinoa.
so no
I
shame
love
in
pasta,
that.
right?
No
Quinoa,
shame in that.
right? Like, but also I will say when it comes to someone who has like just more room for calories, you can definitely add in other foods too. And here's the other thing This is why I coach overall, knowing how many protein, carbs, and fats you should have. Like that's like
Mm-hmm.
my style of coaching. I know it's not for every single person. I have had people who I teach them how to go from macro tracking
Mm-hmm.
to eating intuitively, because it's not for everyone to do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a very specific clientele where we have to be at a weight class, and so it really matters how much they weigh. But
Right.
outside of that, I'm like, you don't have to track every single thing. It can make you like kind of go crazy after a while. But when it comes to macros, like you can, as long as you're hitting them, you should see your result. So yeah, you don't want to fill up on Cheetos all day, right? Like you would still see the result of your weight, but you want to feel great. But
Right.
I'm very big on like the diet is flexible. Like even in my daily diet, I have a lot of rice. I have a lot of like chicken, different proteins, egg whites. I like tofu, right? I eat vegetables and fruits. I every single day have fruit snacks. I'm obsessed with fruit snacks. I will eat potato chips, but I just know how many I'm eating.
Yep.
Right? Like I like cookies, right? So like that's a part of it. It's just probably 15%, if that, of what I eat in a day, because the other 85% is more nutrient dense.
Right.
So there's like
So
all foods.
yeah. So when you talk about like, so let's look at a daily, like a day in Solana's life when it comes to her meal plan, right? Or one of your clients even. So let's start with like breakfast, snack, lunch snack, dinner snack, just to kind of paint a picture exactly of what is a good suggestion recommendation for somebody who might be trying to figure this out.
Cool. This avatar we're about to create is a person who is regular schmegular person, not
Hmm.
competing in sport.
Yep.
Love that. All right, cool. So first meal, this is where we have to attack the protein, because it's really easy to start slipping up. If you don't have protein early in the day, I promise you're not going to hit your protein later on. You're going to say, oh, I'll try to add more in throughout the day. You'll get to the end of the day, you didn't hit it. So your first meal, high protein and a good amount of carbs. Kind of stay lower on the fats. Keep that simple. You can have eggs, egg whites, and a bagel. That's something that I have a lot for breakfast. Whatever your protein choices are, like just keep the higher protein, add some carbs to it. Your next meal, we're still gonna focus on the protein, but now we can add in carbs and higher fat. Why? People start to want their fats later on in the day. You get home at night, and that's when everybody wants the ice cream, right? But no one
Mhm.
really wakes up like, I just want ice cream. Like it always happens at night when you're tired. You know,
Yeah, it's like that after dinner, like I need something sweet.
yes. Or even just after work, you're just like, I just want to eat whatever now, right? But
Yep.
in the morning, our motivation is higher. So that's why you want to attack the things that are harder to get in earlier. So your next meal, protein, have some carbs, it can be higher in fat. And then what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something else. Protein, carb. Oh yeah, and make sure you add in the vegetable in that second meal, so we can start getting in our macronutrients. And it can be anything. Like you can plug in, like it can be chicken, a potato, vegetable, like that simple. It can
Right.
be tofu, rice, vegetable. Most of my clients' meals are like, we look at the H macro, just add it to the plate, and we're done. Like it can be steak, quinoa, vegetable. I don't care what it is. Just make it something simple.
Yeah.
Okay. Third
Yeah.
meal of the day. So now we're probably at dinner. Now
Hmm.
you can have probably a little bit more fats in, because you
Hmm.
did a good job hitting protein and carbs, and we have room for more fats.
Yeah.
Same kind of structure though, right? Like steak, potato, whatever protein you want. I mean,
Right.
they come in with the protein: tofu, tofurkey, turkey bacon, your bread, your rice, your potato, maybe one more vegetable. And then after that, you probably still have some room, and that's when you can kind of like add in a snack that you really enjoy. That's when I have
Right.
fruit snacks. That's when I'm breaking out the fruit snacks and potentially a small bag of potato chips, because the day is over and we've hit protein 3 times. We've hit our nutrient dense carbohydrates. We have vegetables at least twice. You have fruit in there somewhere. So probably in the morning. Throw a fruit in there at some point.
That's
And
good to
now you can just
know.
like enjoy your snacks.
Yeah. So like I'll tell you, like I'll paint a picture for you on my day for perfect example from breakfast, lunch, dinner. Um, and then you can kind of tell me what I might be able to add, take away, just to kind of, you know, paint a little bit, just because I think it'd be fun to do.
Yeah.
So my breakfast in the morning, I'm never hungry when I first wake up. So it's usually like I have to be up for like an hour or two before I'm hungry. But I will have a bowl of oatmeal with chia seeds, a scoop of peanut butter, all natural peanut butter, not that Jiffy crap.
I'm big on
And
all natural.
huh?
I'm big on the all natural peanut butter.
All
You have to.
natural, because all it is a little bit of oil and some peanuts. That's
Yep.
it. Because I'm a big proponent on ingredients, and I always pay attention to like added sugar. Like
Hmm.
that's more what I look for. So I'll do the like whole oats, like it's just regular oats, chia seeds, a scoop of peanut butter, and I'll probably put like some banana in it.
Hmm.
And then my lunch, like example this week, I did a veggie wrap with like a whole wheat wrap with a thing of like sugar-free applesauce. I'll snack on maybe some strawberries or some grapes, and then like in between, and then maybe even some pretzels. And then for dinner, it would be like a protein, like a fish or a chicken, vegetable, and rice.
Beautiful. Okay. So I like your meals. Here's the easiest way to add more protein to your meals without even changing them, right? So your oatmeal, which oatmeal does have some protein, chia seeds have protein, and peanut butter has some protein in it. You want to make it slightly higher. Two options: either add in a little bit of protein powder. It depends on, you have to get the right brand so it blends in perfect. But there are,
Hmm.
like, I do core nutritionals. It blends in like perfectly to the creamy oatmeal, so it's not like this other texture added in there,
Okay.
and it tastes really good. I do the cupcake, the vanilla one. Like that's like an extra like 20 grams of protein added in, and that's really easy. Your next meal was the veggie wrap. You could literally make the wrap itself. There are high protein tortilla wraps.
Okay.
So same exact meal, but if you're doing a regular wrap, it might be like 4 or 5 grams of protein. There are wraps that have like 20 grams of protein.
Right. And I could probably throw in some chickpeas.
You could throw in a protein with it too. You can throw in chickpeas, legumes. You can throw in really whatever, turkey bacon, whatever.
Yeah.
And then your last meal sounds great, right? It was a vegetable, it was a protein source, and I think I heard a carb, but I don't remember it.
It's usually rice.
Rice. So those are very slight adjustments. Really, you're having the exact same meal, but you can easily just add like 40 grams of protein from what I just said. That's it.
Nice. That's a good idea. I might look into that protein for my oatmeal. And
Dude, protein oats, I have a highlight on my page of how to make them, and like they taste so good.
I'll have to find it or tag me in it or send it to me,
I will.
because I definitely like that idea of adding that to my oatmeal, because I love my oats in the morning. And sometimes it's like, oh, I might not have that, or I might just end up doing fruit, but it's like I know that protein is important, so I do try to get it, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I am trying to make adjustments to my diet, especially because like we were talking about it, like my body's going through some normal female changes, and I think that it might also help boost my energy to have more of that protein and being more mindful of like the carbs and the fats, my macronutrients.
Mhm. But still, very good structured day.
The weekends I'm a little bit, less structured, but during the week I'm a good girl.
That's very common too, right? I'll hear that a lot. Like my weekends where everything just kind of goes like whatever happens, happens.
Yep.
My biggest thing for that is, especially if you're like, hey, I don't want to like track every single meal, like put every single thing into an app. I say try to have the same amount of meals you would have during a weekday on the weekend.
Okay.
A lot of people will like get up, either they're skipping breakfast or it turns into brunch, and then the meal is twice the size and you're super hungry, eat whatever, and then maybe you kind of go throughout the day, you have like some beverages that have a bunch of calories in it, and then you have like your dinner, and it's just like random stuff. You're hungry and you kind of didn't structure anything. If
Yeah.
you try to have, like, you just say you have 3 meals a day, if you try to have 3 meals a day on the weekend too, you're gonna make a better choice by default because you're having the same amounts and
Right.
same times. So
But yeah, so like during this time of year, my husband and I, we go up to camp. So my husband loves cooking breakfast at camp. So, but we'll usually have breakfast when, when he gets motivated. Because, we kind of, he likes to kind of, ease into his morning. I get up, I go for walks and things like that. So we don't sometimes have breakfast till, like you said, turns into brunch. Well, it's usually between 10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's poached eggs over an English muffin and a side of fruit, or it's French toast with a side of fruit, or pancakes with a side of fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's no lunch. So it's like I might have some like pretzels or a little bit of or some chips for a snack. And then by the time dinner rolls around, I usually will overeat at dinner time. Like we'll go to like I love this little Italian restaurant out where we go to camp called Garamone's because their food is awesome. And that's like my pasta night. And I will eat an entire bowl of cavatelli without feeling guilty. And
There
like
we go. Well, I'm happy you don't feel guilty. I hate when people, and I've been there where I feel guilty for the food choices I have. And I hate when people are like, oh, I live my life feeling guilty for every meal and I have to earn certain foods. I'm like, you don't have to earn food. Like you need food to live. And
right,
right. So
right.
but I will say like your weekend eating sounds like most of the people who come to me, like just protein's just lower on the weekend.
Yeah.
Like the breakfast you mentioned, like if you're having pancakes with the fruit, like just know the protein might be like 5 grams by the time you get to the meal. But
It,
if you're eating from home, you can also make protein pancakes.
by throwing some protein powder into there,
All
right?
you do is so I'm telling you, adding protein powder to breakfast is so delicious. Like I do it all, me and my athletes do it all the time. It's so good.
Do you add
And
it to French toast?
that was the one I was like, I don't know if how I add to French toast, but I
I
probably
wonder if you could put it in the batter, like the egg mix.
that was my thought. You
I
know
don't
what?
know.
Actually, no. Okay, now I'm thinking about it. French toast, I used to make it with a lot of egg whites and no egg. Egg white.
Oh,
So
just the egg
I just
white.
add egg whites.
That's is it good that way?
I like it. It is good. It it's probably slightly less fluffy, but the flavor is exactly the same to me.
Okay.
So, and I buy, just so y'all know, I buy the egg whites in the carton, like in the container. I don't like throw
Yes.
out the egg yolks. I don't waste egg yolks. And egg whites in the carton are not weird or gross. You know, people have told me like,
I get
oh,
them in the
out.
carton.
That freaks me out. I can't like have egg whites in like a container. I'm like, why? Like all they did was take the yolk out and put the egg white in.
And put it in a container and
It freaks people out. I'm
that's
not like it.
that's interesting. Yeah, my husband just thinks it's like he's like I remember it was not that long ago. I wanted an omelet, but I wanted an egg white omelet. So I went and I got, the egg whites and he's just like, egg whites are gross. And I'm like, they're good.
But you eat eggs. Like
They're good. Honestly, it doesn't taste any different to me. And it's actually better because it's less than saturated fat
it's an easier way to get more protein, yeah.
and getting your protein. And see, the thing is like for me, so I have elevated LDL. My doctor's not overly concerned about it, but she just recommends, the egg whites because she recommends I kind of just watch the saturated fat and the sugar intake, because I don't know, I think it's a genetic thing, but either way, that's where I try to watch that stuff too. So it's like I'm kind of like watching on all different levels, but the one thing I don't really look at too much is calories. I don't because I don't obsess over calories because I'd rather have a higher calorie intake and know that I'm getting the nutrients that I need. Does that make sense?
And again, everything depends on everyone's goal. Like I might be talking about like macro tracking, but a lot of people who come to me are not even losing weight. Like they don't even want to lose weight. So there's goals for everyone. I'm just trying to eat healthier to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
There's I want to add more muscle, so I actually want to gain weight.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of different goals, right? So I only am looking close at calorie intake if I need to cut weight, because at
Right.
that point you have to, or else you were not going to lose the weight,
Right.
or
Well,
you are, but you don't know how, and so you're kind of like, oh, I hope this is working. Oh,
right.
how
Well,
is it working?
let me rephrase that. Like if it's like something that says it's like 560 calories, I'm more than likely not going to touch it, right? Because I know that it might be something that's not good for me, truthfully. So it's like, so let's say I'm reading a food label for I don't even know, some kind of like packaged dinner, right? I'm just looking at the food label and it's loaded with sodium and it's loaded with, saturated fats and trans fats. You need some saturated fat, but trans fat you got to avoid. It's got the sugars, but it's also like 600 calories for like maybe half a slice of something. Then no, that's obviously, I don't obsess over calories. I just don't, that's what I mean. I don't obsess over calories. If I'm not, I don't even know how I'm trying to word this right now. I totally just went.
It's okay. So I like that you clarified like 560 calories for like a slice of something, right? Because
Right.
so that's where we talk about where your calories come from will dictate how full you feel. And the fuller you
Mm-hmm.
can feel off your food choices, the better off you're gonna be. Because now you're gonna feel better, you're gonna feel fuller, it's gonna be easier not to like overeat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if two people both need 1,500 calories a day to lose weight and their goal is losing weight, and
Mm-hmm.
one person gets all their food from McDonald's and they eat 1,500 calories, and the
Right.
other person gets like all their food from like rice and potatoes and like chicken breast and like fish and like all these other foods, like, and they have way more food on the plate, but the calories of the food are the same as the one burger and small fry the person got, right? One person is going to be fuller and feel better. That's the person who's not eating the McDonald's. And the McDonald's person is probably going to feel sluggish and not great, and you both lose weight, right? You
Right.
both lose weight because it's the same amount of calories. So
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about food choices. It's really how can we add in the foods that are like the more nutrient dense it is, the more
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be. And
Right.
typically you get higher volume with nutrient dense. Like I can have a giant salad with grilled chicken, or again, I can have a small fry that literally can fit into my hand versus a salad that would take like my arms out here to eat, right?
Exactly.
The amount of calories,
Yep.
one's fuller, one's happier, one is going to be not as full, probably still hungry, but you know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I felt like it was important to touch on that because I think a part of the reason I don't obsess over calories is because I don't eat a lot. I don't eat McDonald's. I don't eat a lot of fast food. And I don't really eat a lot of packaged meals either. I just kind of gave you a day in Lori's life, like with
Mm-hmm.
my meal choices. So it's like I think that's part of the reason I don't obsess over calories. But I think, like you said, it all depends on the goal. Like right now I'm more focused on, like the reducing the LDLs, and as well as like I just did a podcast that I just put up to, today about, perimenopause and menopause, because that's where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at, 41 years old. I'm going into that transition. So there's ways of keeping track of your health and, making sure that you're getting proper nutrients on that regard. But it's also to maintain your weight, because when you get to that certain point, your metabolism is slowing down and weight gain that the chance of weight gain increases when we're at this age,
Mm-hmm.
you
And
know?
especially dealing with the perimenopause. So I was mentioning to you, I had a friend who's going through perimenopause and has PMDD, right? And
Mhm.
she came to me and she was so frustrated because she's very active. Like she walks every day, like 5 miles to make sure that she's moving enough. She works
Yep.
out 3 times a week at home with kettlebells, and she eats like the same food. Like she's like
Yeah.
cooks her food and eats the same food every day. So she's
Mhm.
like, Solana, I'm very angry. She's like, I'm eating, like, my routine is exactly the same with exercise and food, and I'm gaining weight.
Yep.
And it's because like her metabolism's so much slower because of perimenopause
Yep. And the
and the,
hormones.
and the hormonal stuff going on too. So
Yeah,
and that is a much more difficult. It's difficult to navigate that because
it
it's not as
is.
simple as like just like yeah, you can move more, and hey, she might need to up exercise not because it was not enough, but now it's like to combat all the changes up it even more. But
Yep.
also it's tough because like she has to like literally eat less calories even though
Right.
she has not changed her eating.
And that's the thing, like, now like we're talking about that, so it's like, okay, I can't do, because I have this vertigo thing going on because of the perimenopause, the hormone changes. And if I do try to lift some weights, I actually get dizzy. So
Mm,
I'm doing more gentle exercises. Like every day I go for walks And I mean, I'm on my feet most of the day anyway, because my job does not allow me to sit much. So I work all day on my feet and then I walk when I get home, anywhere between 1.5 miles to 2 miles. And then I have like a healthy meal. And I went to the doctor today to, talk to her about what's going on with me and have some blood work. And the I was 5 pounds more than I was back in May, which could have
Mhm.
been just a combination of water weight because I'm bloated, right?
Mhm.
And just mainly that, like just the water weight I was maintaining. And I cried, like not like sobbing cried. Like I just was in the room with the nurse and I was like, I hate that scale. She's like, I go, I'm sorry, I'm frustrated. I said, I worked so hard to lose weight, and here I am, I'm putting it back on, and I can't do, and I'm just like, I'm just so frustrated. And she's like, and I go, and I know I sound crazy. And she's like, you're not. She goes, this is your body, this is your hormone. She's like,
Yeah.
it's okay, you know? And it's like, I feel like I'm doing everything right.
Mhm.
And, back 10 years ago, if I did what I'm doing right now, I would drop 20 pounds like that. Like, but just go, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
hormones are hard. Like
ugh,
menopause is tougher. Perimenopause is tougher.
yes.
And overall though, it does sound like you are like watching food choices. You are making sure to exercise, right? So you're doing the things that need to be done. It could be like you have to increase exercise
Yeah.
more on top of what you're currently doing.
Yeah.
It could be that. But I know it's hard.
Yeah. And minimizing stress. Because,
Minimizing stress. Yep.
cortisol, that is your stress hormone. That increases and it's just like it screws everything up because stress also causes inflammation. So it's like there is so many things that factor into it. So it is so important to be mindful. But I don't deprive myself either. If I want to
Mm.
have a little ice cream with my husband on Saturday when we go to our favorite little ice cream place, I'll have a little small ice cream, but I don't have dessert every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
But
have my daily fruit snacks, but yes.
yes, and fruit snacks are good. They are so good. But no, and I think maybe being more mindful of the macros, making sure I'm getting more protein will be very helpful, especially with the fatigue.
Yes, 100%. More protein and do the strength training you can do. You just mentioned you have vertigo. I know that's hard. I had a client with Meniere's, an in-person client with Meniere's, and that was tough. You know what Meniere's is?
Is it similar?
It's basically I don't it causes dizziness because it affects your ears. And it affects like the hair in your ear, and you know like how your ear helps with equilibrium.
Yep.
So this client, like he would have times where you had to like sit down and just like the room was spinning and stuff like that. So it can definitely be tougher.
Hmm.
But I will say, as long as you're not doing anything that could be like, oh, if I were to get dizzy right now, like I would break something, like you should be able to get in like some sort of strength. It's tough though. Like
Yeah.
I was like more dumbbell versus barbell. And I'm like barbell over face for bench press. Okay, if you get dizzy, that could go really, really bad. But
Yeah.
like dumbbell bench, you can just drop the weights on the floor if we
Well, what I
if
have is right now, like right next to my desk, I have little 5 pound weights. So if like sometimes if I'm just sitting here doing work on my computer, I'll sit here and just
get
like
some movement in.
keep just trying to keep the strength in my arms, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because that's important because
Yeah.
we are also at a stage in our lives when you hit that 40, 41. Now you're going into like that perimenopause. So now you're running the risk of bone loss and,
Yep, bone density. I'm telling you, strength
yeah.
training equals much better bone density. Like
Mhm.
I older people, and I'm just talking about this too because my friend's mom broke her hip. Older people, when they are not strength training, especially they don't have a base of it from being younger either, but and they haven't done it for years. It's
Mhm.
so much easier to break bones or hurt yourself, and it's way harder to recover when
Mhm.
you aren't strong or you don't have muscle. And I've
Mhm.
seen people go from like, oh, I broke my hip to like they start to deteriorate because like
Yeah.
they already had low muscle, like their
Mhm.
bones were weaker, and then they go from like that to like a wheelchair, and like they don't leave the wheelchair, but like their only issue was they broke a hip. They didn't even like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I've seen that.
Yeah. It's like I think sometimes people say I'm crazy, think I might be crazy because I even said this to my husband this morning, like we were talking about, I was like, I need to make sure that I'm doing this, this, and this. And he's like, but you got to live too. And I go, I'm not saying that I'm not going to live my life. I go, what I'm saying is I want to have a healthy, happy life. That's always been the goal. And I'm just like, I want to be 90. I go, I want to live a long life. And
Mm-hmm.
not just like, being, I'm not saying being 80 years old and having a slew of health problems where there's
Yeah, like
no,
now you're just surviving life.
I want to be 90 years old going on old people cruises.
Yes,
You
and
know what I
playing
mean?
bingo and jumping up and down.
And when it's time for me to meet God, I am going to just go peacefully in my sleep because my body said, okay, I'm 105 years old. Like it's just time. Like,
Yes, I hear you. I hear
I
you.
just I want to live a full life and I want to be healthy while living it. And you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring,
Mm-hmm.
but we can at least try to minimize, you know,
100%.
the risks of all of the health issues, diabetes, heart disease, you name it.
No, really, 100%. Like I wish like my lifestyle better influenced my own family because I'm the only person who's into health in my family, and especially when it comes to my mom, like she's 71 or 70, and
Mhm.
I really wish she would start to like exercise because she's starting to run into more and more health issues, and a
Yeah.
lot of them are things that could be avoided with a better diet and like actual movement, even like walking, like intentionally, like stuff like that.
Right.
I'm watching it, I'm like, if you get to 80 or 85, like you're gonna be just surviving. Like I can see it. I'm like trying to show her the mirror, like this is your life trajectory. Like it's not gonna be fun.
Yes.
It's just gonna be you're
Yes.
here. You know what I mean? Let's
Yes.
live that way. So
And I think and I know that there are some people that have, and I've seen this before where people are like, well, the cost of produce is so high, I can't, it's so hard to financially afford to eat healthy. But if you're not, first off, if you're not buying all the snacks and, all the highly processed foods, you will have money to get fruits and vegetables. Like I don't get organic all the time. Like I can't that sometimes it is more than my budget allows. Um but every day we go to the grocery store, we hit that produce section first and most of the stuff I buy is produce. And if I do get like frozen vegetables, it's just regular plain frozen vegetables. But I also think about the fact that, the cost of medical care, especially if you're going into like cancer treatments and heart disease and things like that. Now you're going into thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
yep.
So I'd rather pay the extra,
$100.
$30 on my grocery bill for my
Yes.
vet, you know what I mean? But there are ways to eat healthy and get everything, the nutrients your body needs without breaking the bank, but also having the mindset of knowing that if I'm living on, you know, Kraft mac and cheese every day and frozen pizza, I'm probably going to have an astronomical medical bill in the long run because I don't know about you. I have a high deductible insurance policy and like my insurance isn't going to cover anything until I hit $7,000.
Mine's $10,000, girl. So and let's be for real, most people in America don't budget. Right. So it's like whenever I hear anything about something too expensive, I'm like, where do you spend your money? Right. And the answer is typically, I don't know. Or they start just saying random stuff they spend money on. And I'm like, how much money is allocated to groceries? How much? And no one has an answer. Right.
Yeah.
So like I'm big on budgeting. Like I literally have an app for budgeting, budget my money, all of it in there. But if that is anyone's response listening to the podcast, like, oh well, it's just so expensive to eat healthy. Like to know the exact dollar amount you're spending on your groceries and what's the exact dollar amount you're spending on eating out. And if you don't have an answer for that, then you can afford to go to the grocery store.
Right. And and here's the thing. I used to be the person that would, because I'll say, like, I've had my financial struggles over, and I used to have horrible budgeting was not something that was in my vocabulary when I was younger. So I used to have those excuses too, where it was just like it was more affordable to just, pick up, few things off off the shelf rather than getting all the healthy foods, right? Like the produce and all of that. So it was like because I'm trying to keep the grocery bill low. But
Mhm.
I'm also smoking, a pack a week and not working out. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stopping at McDonald's because I have
Stopping
no
them.
time to cook. So
Mhm.
I used to have that mindset too. And when I started the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, that was when my mindset, I was already on my weight loss journey. I had already lost 150 pounds, but it changed the way I thought about budgeting, finances, and that mindset of if I don't take care of my body now, this is where I'm going to be in 10 years. And I didn't
Mhm.
like that feeling of knowing that, you know, I'm more so harming myself if I'm not do following a if I'm not getting nutrition.
Yeah. 100%. So we all have to choose, right? Like everything's hard. Like it's hard to eat healthier. It's hard to live with heart disease and have issues, and it's hard to be struggling to walk
Yeah.
because of your health issues. Both are hard, right?
Yeah.
So
And sometimes we can't help it
hard.
because sometimes it is genetics, you know what I mean? But we can do what we can to try to minimize and
100%.
reduce the risk, right? So,
100%.
all right, my dear. Well, I think that this was an awesome conversation.
I enjoyed it very much.
And Solana, if anybody wants to contact you, how can they reach you?
Yes, I have my Instagram, Solana, SOLANA_lifts, LIFTS. And you can reach me there. You can DM me. Also, the link in my bio has my website, which is strengthsolutionsinc.com. My email is solana@strengthsolutionsinc.com. So, any of those ways.
Awesome. And if anybody would like to connect with me and, we can book a call and chat about whatever you want to talk about, you can reach me at my email, which is M as in Michael, C empowerment at gmail.com. Or you can reach me at Facebook, which is Lori A. Murphy, Empowerment Coach for Women. And I am so happy that everybody was able to join us today. Solana, thank you for taking the time to talk with us about nutrition. I think that I can say I've learned a lot. And until next time, let go of fear and let your spirit shine.